morning, everybody, to our fall session of Ask the Mayor. My name is Matt Pease. I am the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce Board for this year and will be your host. I want to thank everybody for joining us. This has been it's kind of the busy season for the Chamber of Commerce. We just got off the Art and Wine Festival in September. And that welcomes probably close to 100,000 people into downtown Lafayette over 3 days, or 2 days, excuse me. And by all means, by all measures, it seemed to have been a very big success. We had great weather. The crowd was great. It looked like everybody was having a lot of fun. So that was fantastic. And then about 4 weeks later, we had the Res Run. Crowd not quite as big, but still the downtown area was packed. And it looked like everybody was having a great time. Once again, the weather was pitch perfect for a 10K or 5K run. And it was great to see everybody downtown. The downtown looks great right now. There are a lot of businesses that have started up. The staff has been organizing ribbon cuttings right and left. We just had one yesterday for Big Wolf, which is just a fantastic dog grooming store down in downtown Lafayette near Sideboard. That whole area there looks like it's pretty much leased. The stores across from Postino are all leased. And so things look really good downtown, which is very, very exciting for everybody. And so it's been a great fall season. And then we got our Halloween celebration coming up late this afternoon, where downtown will be infested by little kids running around in costumes getting candy, which is a fun event if you can have a chance to stop by. So anyway, for those of you who are new to this, this is a kind of an informal session with our community, both the business community and residents. And it gives you an opportunity to hear what's on the mind of our mayor. And she'll be sharing some thoughts that she has. She's actually going to walk through a presentation she did to the Lafayette Homeowners Council about housing. That has been a area of great work by Lafayette people, and I want to give you an update on where we are. After she shares her thoughts, we'll open it up for Q&A. For Q&A, if you'd like to do something online, ask a question online, certainly use the chat facility in Zoom. If on the other hand, you just want to ask a question, raise your hand and I will call on you. We ask that this remain a kind of a respectful, positive interaction. And so if there's any follow-up, I'm sure Mayor Candell will do that with individuals. And then Suzanne Lara is on the Zoom, and if she needs to add more information about websites and places to go and things such as that, she will do that. We appreciate, we've got some of our other elected officials on here. Candace Anderson, welcome. Carl Anduri, back from Madagascar, and John McCormick, our other city council member. So thank you for everybody for attending. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Candell for her opening comments before we get into Q&A. So Mayor Candell, I'll let you take it from here.
Oh, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. I know it's early, but the whole Zoom format seems to be working. And as always, you know, not having a big crowd here is actually kind of good. It means things are going well. And I could not agree more that the downtown is doing great. You guys are keeping me so busy. Ribbon cutting, yesterday and then today again. And I saw a great post on Nextdoor about the golf. Hey, there's a new Lux golf shop in downtown Lafayette. I'm like, yay. I mean, we're just opening up new businesses as quick as we can. And thank you, Chamber. Wow, amazing partners this year, making our downtown really, really thrive. It's delightful. So yes, I'm going to give you a presentation here. I'm going to share my screen here. Let me get my window here. Hopefully this is the right window. Let me know. Yes. Can you see it? Can anybody let me? Oh, great.
Yes, looks good.
Perfect, perfect. All right, so here we go. Thank you again for the successful passage of Measure H. That was the sales tax that we recently had at the last election. It has given our city the ability to keep our services where they are now because everybody really enjoys our services. They supported us for this, but we need people to sign up for the oversight committee. And so, if you want to be part of the Measure H oversight committee, go on our website and there is a way to sign up and be part of this. Very important. We're looking for 5 people, and there's very little yearly time commitment expected. Our staff is so organized. It should not take too much time every year to make sure that we are doing the right thing with the Measure H taxes. So thank you if you can sign up. All right, Rena. So we're coming back here because it is still on our forefront. So Rena, our all cities are allocated a number of units, and ours was 2,114. And so think of this kind of instead as a rezoning plan. And so we ended up upzoning from 35 units per acre to 50 units per acre in a few areas in our city, mostly areas behind the first lots facing Mount Diablo up to Highway 24. And great news, Lafayette had our housing element approved earlier this year. However, the Housing Action Coalition sued us over our housing element before we had a certified housing element, complaining about many of the sites plus the methodology we used. They did not drop the lawsuit even after we were certified. So yes, that's a thing. So we are still facing this. We've rehired a housing consultant to help us find solutions. And even more recently, just last week, Redondo Beach had a lawsuit against their housing element that was ruled against them, and it will impact our lawsuit with the Housing Action Coalition and not in a good way. And so we're having to deal with that. And apparently, Arinda, who also finally got their housing element reapproved, the Redondo lawsuit is going to affect them as well. And they have been told that they are not in compliance right now. We're going to reach out to the League of Cities to get help with this. This is a tenuous situation. It doesn't make sense that we can go get certified by the state and then still get lawsuits over our housing elements. So the housing landscape, we know that there's been over 200 bills passed since 2017, mostly orchestrated by Senator Scott Wiener in San Francisco. It's meant to remove local oversight of housing. And so Lafayette has almost no oversight anymore on housing being built in our city. So if you look at the goal is to create more housing stock, but market forces have kind of proven this isn't really working. So many academics are challenging the narrative that upzoning and deregulation will create any more substantial new affordable housing, which is the kind that California and Lafayette needs. So we the very little oversight we have on projects, we're trying to update our objective design standards, which is the one thing we do have control over. So we want to help maintain the high level of designs we want for our city, but that's pretty much the only thing we can control. So if you look at this picture here, this is the Woodbury, one of the Woodbury buildings across behind the Veterans Hall. That's back when we used to have control over design. We could force them to create the beautiful facades and build these big patios and use great materials. And former Mayor Don Tatson even said that each project ended up being a better project after our review processes. But we can't do this anymore and have to basically accept whatever comes across our desks. And that's why we have very few reviews of housing projects as they come through. All right, so if you look here, Lafayette has done a really, really great job of building housing, and people are surprised at these. Even our new Senator Tim Grayson came and toured our city. He's like, "Wow, you guys actually have done a great job in housing." And so the blue ones are ones that are under construction. The green ones are already built, and the orange ones. Actually, we can add one more. I just saw a senior housing proposal come through. I think it's just last week, and Design Review is looking at it right now. But we have a bunch of new projects that are under review and have not been built. Notably, if you look at number 20, those are the homes that are detached homes behind the crosses. We approved that. It says under review, but we've approved it. The Oak Hill project is also under review, but we have approved it number 21, and that's 90 condos and 11 below market rate. I will talk about Sunflower Hill, which is the 949 Moraga Road, in a separate slide. So if you look at all these things, Lafayette we are not anti-housing. We have never been anti-housing. We always want to control the types of housing we go into our city, but we are not anti-housing. And so it's the narrative that we're trying to change. In fact, Lafayette's never not approved a multi-housing project. So SB 79, and this is the state law that recently did get passed, and I'm keeping this up because even though SB 79 was Senator Tim Grayson and Jim Cervantes and a full court press by our staff, we were able to get Contra Costa County actually exempted from SB 79. So SB 79 has, if you look in that quarter-mile little donut there, up to 80 units per acre. So that's more density than we have zoned in our housing element, that even RHNA says that we have had to rezone. And within half a mile, up to 60 units per acre, which is kind of, basically matches our maximum zoning. But what is shown here is that this zoning applies even into our single family neighborhoods. It also applies in our high fire zones that used to be very high fire zones. And the argument we were making with Senator Grayson and our assembly member, Rebecca Barra-Cajon, is that it's just literally unsafe to build to this density in those areas. And it was Andy Comley, who is our emergency preparedness officer, who successfully was able to create the idea that we should be exempt in those areas if we have an evacuation route that is in a high fire zone. And as you can see, we have evacuation routes, and those are the blue squares, the blue squares here. All of these are evacuation routes, and they are on little teeny, very, narrow single roads, two lanes, but no shoulders, no sidewalks, no nothing. And so if we were able to upzone in these areas, if you do the simple math, and actually being pretty, pessimistic on it, you could get up to 25,000 housing units in these donuts. And we only have 10,000 in the entire city right now. And so if you put that much density in these areas, it just literally is unsafe. And Contra Costa Fire, so Andy reached out to them too, and they actually wrote a letter objecting to this, and so did, thank you, Candace Anderson. The supervisors also did. And so this was a full court press to make sure that we were exempt from these densities in these areas that we know are absolutely unsafe. So we are exempt from those. SB 79 did pass. There's only 7 counties in the state where SB 79 will come. And why I'm keeping this on the screen is that MTC, which is Metropolitan Transit Committee out of San Francisco, they are dealing with similar regulations within a half a mile of our BART station. And this policy requires upzoning, the adoption of several housing policies, and a commitment to fund them. The problem is, if we don't do it, they will tie our OBAG funding, which is our transportation projects funding, they're tied to our compliance with the MTC, Transit-Oriented Communities, new policy. So we met with, Lafayette, Arenda, and Walnut Creek met with MTC chair about a couple weeks ago to discuss our concerns, and we sent an official letter with our concerns to MTC. And it's the same concerns that we had with SB 79. It's simply unsafe. Our BART station is not built in an urban area. It's close to an urban area, but within a quarter mile and a half a mile, it's clearly not urban, and it's simply not safe to force us to do these kind of upzonings in these areas. So MTC has not decided whether they're going to do this or not. But this is significant for us because we, in the last couple of years, have gotten about $2 to $3 million in OBAG grant funding for our transit projects, and that's a big deal for Lafayette because we don't get money very often, for those kind of projects that we want to do. Anyways, so what I'm saying is that it's kind of absurd where we are right now, and everybody's pointing fingers in different directions on how we're supposed to plan our cities, and it's making our staff's heads spin. To be perfectly honest, it's making our heads spin. We don't know where these housing policies are going to come from next, and so it's a terrible way, in my opinion, of how to plan a city. We on your council have a tremendous city council right now, and we are perfectly capable of planning a really great and safe city. But then when you get all this stuff on top of it, we just don't know where it's all going. Anyway, so next slide. So that was kind of the bad news part. And now this is the good news part. So Sunflower Hill and Saha, a supportive housing project at 949 Moraga Road, right in the empty parking lot, right across the street from Lafayette Elementary. So a couple of weeks ago, they got funding from HCD, amazingly, for $19 million to start this project. That's only round one of like 3 pieces of funding that we're trying to secure. The next layer of funding is coming from Measure X, which is county funding. And I guess the requests for bids came out, I think, earlier this week, and I was talking to Rosemary Kerbach, and they are reading all of the requirements for the next layer of funding from Measure X, and we'll clearly be reaching out to our wonderful supervisor, Candace Anderson, in order to try to push this project forward. It is going to be 48 units of permanent, affordable housing for developmentally disabled adults. It is a fabulous group that is trying to build this. Full support from our council, full support from our community. Cross fingers. We've got the timeline has started. We've got like 2 years to secure all the funding. All right, so next thing we rolled out is an ADU acceleration plan. So we've got fee reductions, accelerated program rebates, and pre-approved plans for ADUs coming out soon. ADUs are absolutely the number one way right now in terms of numbers of units. That's the most housing we're building right now in Lafayette because our multifamily housing has been kind of stalled out for a while. But ADU production has been, pretty through the roof, and we're an ideal community, in my opinion, to be building ADUs, and our residents are responding. So we're trying to, as part of our housing element, we're trying to even accelerate these ADUs. Another outstanding project that is coming to Lafayette, the Cancer Support Community, is building this amazing project right next to Lafayette Reservoir. And so if you drive by, you can see a ton of construction. And I drove by yesterday, there is a giant mound of dirt. So they are moving, they're having to, put dirt here and pull dirt there. And this project is expected to finish next year. It is a regional support center. So anybody, cancer victims themselves, but also their families, anybody whose families are affected, by cancer, they can go and get services at this site. It is probably one of the most exciting projects that Lafayette has built, maybe ever. And we're so happy that the project came through. The facility is going to be gorgeous. The site itself is stunning. So congratulations, Cancer Support Community. Hopefully we can get this done next year. All right, now we're on to Connecting Lafayette. So this is, when I'm talking about this OBAG funding and transportation projects, this is the kind of project that we couldn't build just using Lafayette funds. So the Downtown Pathways and School Safety Project, The next two pieces are going to be on School Street, making this class 3 bike lane and pedestrian walkway, connecting the Lafayette Trail all the way to the big path on First Street. You can see it's all with just the little separated dividers right now. The bids have gone out, and we'll be expecting to get a contractor signed up soon. And construction of this project should start like April next year, March or April next year. They won't do the major impactful ones to traffic. They'll only do those parts during the summer when school is out, but they can get started on a lot of the side projects on School Street as well as on Topper Lane. And so there will be a kind of meandering 6 to 4 foot path down Topper Lane that has had a bunch of review by the residents there. And finally, we're coming to consensus that we have a design that everybody can accept. So good job for our staff for making this happen. And so hopefully this will be done by, late summer, early fall next year. The next one is we're finally, I don't know if you guys even remember when we approved this project, it was a connecting the Lafayette Town Center project and BART station. Right now, it looks pretty rustic, kind of, you have this little, on the right, you've got, what it looks like now. BART came out with funding to build a pathway that connects our downtown. And the city puts in, I think, only like $150,000. And this is like a $3 million project. So we were able to secure funding from a bunch of different sources. And this too also should be built coming in next summer. And so that is very exciting. This is one of the key features of why our Lafayette Art and Wine is so successful. I mean, besides having the everyday people, commuting to BART, but being able to really, hop off our BART station and within a couple of 100 yards, you're in right smack dab in our downtown. We are very uniquely situated like that with a BART station, and we're really lucky. And now it's going to be even more beautiful. Okay, this is the one. This is the super exciting. It's starting to get legs project in Lafayette. This is a grand vision for a bike and pedestrian path that goes all the way from Dolores Lane, all the way, hopefully, eventually, all the way to Pleasant Hill Road. And it parallels Mount Diablo Boulevard. So if you see the red path, so the red path over here far on the left is an existing pathway. If you haven't walked it, it's near the new Woodbury project is over here on the left. We have on the next little part here that is circled in black, that connects that pathway all the way to the BART station. It is even going to have a bridge over Happy Valley Road. We have the money for the design secured. We have 98% of the actual funding to build the project secured as well. So staff is working really hard on getting us right over the finish line to be able to get this piece built. The next piece, which is continuing the dotted line, and it goes over that green area there. That is the East Bay Mud Aqueduct. We have secured an agreement with East Bay Mud that we can extend this pathway on their aqueduct. And the key features there is that it parallels the freeway. It is close to the freeway, but the unique feature is up near Brown Avenue, right? So you can see the fork in the middle, kind of in the red. It tees off. It goes underneath Highway 24 and also drops down onto Brown Avenue. That key feature of having it go underneath Highway 24 there is already kind of a temporary path that people use to go under the freeway there. But if we can make this an official, path that extends there, then we can extend it along Deer Hill Road and use the Caltrans right of way and go around the hill at Deer Hill and to Pleasant Hill Road. So this is the grand vision that our transportation engineer Patrick Gollier and our Matt Latrope and Mike Moran are pursuing. The aqueduct part in the middle, fortunately, East Bay Mud is actually fixing the aqueduct. It leaks quite a bit. And so it may not be done. The aqueduct fix may not be done for 4 or 5 years. So it may be that this center section is the last piece we build, but we can start on the other sections as soon as we can secure design and funding for the actual pathway. And that is, we're trying to secure funds through CCTA, through, pretty much every single entity that we can possibly do to help envision this. And the great part about this is it will free up, we've always thought we wanted to have some sort of bike, thing along Mount Diablo Boulevard. But if we do this, we won't have to be stealing real estate from Mount Diablo Boulevard in order to get a bike and pedestrian friendly Lafayette and get us all connected. So it's super exciting. It's a huge vision. Tons of people on board, really fun. All right, so just the last thing, we still have some openings on some of our commissions, so please apply. And that is it. So I will stop sharing and take questions.
Okay. Thanks, Mayor Candell. That was great. There is a lot going on in the city, and so that's fantastic. One of the questions that came in on the chat was the oversight committee, and Suzanne, I think, did a good job of kind of giving an overview of what the committee is going to do. Any more details that you can add to that?
I have not seen the chat.
Okay.
Maybe John or Carl may have been looking at that if they wanted to.
Yeah,
respond.
they basically, the person asked the questions, what does the oversight committee actually do? Suzanne explained that it's going to to meet periodically, review expenditures and things such as that. Any other insights from you in terms of what this group is going to do?
Right. So when we passed Measure H, we made a promise to our residents that we would only maintain services using this money. We were not going to be adding, brand new projects. We were not going to be, diverting from our core mission and, doing things differently than we have been doing other than providing our core services. And that's what the oversight committee will do. They will make sure that we are, honoring that promise to continue our services at the level that we've been providing and not go above and beyond and use this money for things that we weren't saying we were going to do.
Okay. Libby's got her hand up. Libby, do you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, you answered that one, but going back to the, the ever-loving RHNA and the lawsuit. Can I ask, what exactly is HAC's charge against the city of Lafayette?
Sure.
And
yeah,
why can't we, and why can't we defend ourselves instead of, giving in to them?
Sure.
And also, what grounds do they have to file a lawsuit against? I mean, all these YIMBY lawsuits, they are not a governmental organization. They are not an agency of the government. Although,
okay, let's have Susan answer the question.
No, I agree. Our city attorneys, because other cities have been threatened with lawsuits or had lawsuits against them as well, and San Mateo, Pleasanton, a couple other cities, and obviously Redondo Beach. So they are challenging a bunch of our sites. We have to identify our the sites that we put in, opportunity sites that we put into the housing element. So the good news on that is that we rehired a housing consultant, and with a fine-tooth comb gone over every single housing site, we've built things since we submitted our housing element. Other things that we've got some, buildings that have now been basically vacated. And so we can actually include those now into our housing element. Uh, the biggest concern is that the Redondo Beach lawsuit they're claiming that we can only include sites that are only for housing. We can't include sites that have commercial assets on them. That's what Redondo Beach lawsuit has. That's what was the ruling in the lawsuit. Unfortunately for Lafayette, unfortunately from Lafayette, we don't have like any of those sites. We have De Silva that are empty. We've got these, vacated parcels, but most of our opportunity sites are on, existing commercial uses. They are low efficiency. They're not up, basically they're not the best and highest use of that land. But since we only have, majority infill sites to use, this could really throw a wrench into what we thought was a completely valid plan that would have made this lawsuit moot. And we believe that we could have produced a housing element that they would agree with. And so that was our plan until this lawsuit came out. And so
the judge have to agree with it?
Yeah, the judge did. That's the problem. It came out as a ruling. And I don't know if Redondo Beach, we're finding out, are they going to appeal it? Or, what are they going to do? And so right now, though, it's put us kind of into a pickle. All right,
Redondo Beach just got decertified. I just heard this last week.
I know, by this lawsuit, right? And so, but it puts every single city at risk.
She just said that they got decertified. She was in tears.
Right. And so, and Orinda is in the same boat too. They just got a letter that they are now decertified too, because, most of their downtown, they included that into their housing element because it's not their best and highest use. Their downtown could use an upgrade. And so they went for it and they upzoned their downtown, but it's mostly commercial right now. They don't have a lot of open space, and neither do we. So this is why we're reaching out to the league going, help, come on. How do cities even respond to this? I mean, every single housing element in the state at this point likely just went invalid. So yeah, we're in a pickle. So
are there a question?
Carl,
I'm sorry,
Carl.
Esther, why don't you go ahead? You have a question. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm kind of new to this, so I don't know much.
You're doing great.
Okay, I've only been living here for 2 years, so I see a lot of. I'm just wondering why we can't take some of the commercial properties, like I see on Mount Diablo Boulevard, going towards the reservoir. Why can't we convert those into housing areas rather than commercial? They're empty, and I just don't
we are.
that.
The De Silva property is the huge property across from Oakwood, right? We did include that in our housing element, but we included it with the desire that we want to get a development agreement with a developer to produce something there that Lafayette will love, that will make them a lot of money, hopefully include a sports field. So we'll have some public uses in there as well. And so and the best way to develop a large parcel like that is through development agreements. And so, yeah.
I suppose I'm talking about different, you're talking about where Oakwood is, but I'm talking about closer into the downtown. There's a number of very large commercial buildings that appear to be empty to me.
Like Deco Plaza, Esther, is that?
Whatever they're called. Yes, the right
Yes.
beyond where that burrito, 365 is. There's the, quarry type place. Then you get these enormous places that look like they're empty. Are they empty, or why can't
they're not empty? Our city office is in one of them.
Okay, so they're not empty.
They
Those
are
buildings
included,
are not empty.
but they are they the best and highest use buildings
Right, okay.
and big parking lots that they could be? And our argument is like, no, they're not. We could build something there that's even bigger and have maybe the multi-use. You have commercial on the bottom and housing on the top.
Right.
Yes, those are sites that we absolutely have included. And
Okay,
we would,
so that
we would
those
love
are
that.
included. Okay, good.
Mhm.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Good question, Susan. Esther, excuse me. Susan, are there other things that the city's doing to try to encourage developers to developer. I know they're faced with rising costs. It's, there's a lot of inflation relative to building materials and and interest rates are historically high. Is there anything else that the city can do to help?
Other than approve projects and
Yeah.
hope they get built.
Yeah,
Um,
I know.
we can't donate. I mean, like that's not something we can do. We have actually in the past, there have been some fees that where we've had developers go, hey, we want to pay these fees after we've built rather than, early on in the process. And we have done those things in the past.
Okay.
And I'm sure that
Good.
if they came to us again, we would likely do that again.
Very good. Okay.
Vice Mayor's
Carl.
got a question. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, not a question. Mayor, that was a great report. It's exciting to see all these things in one report. So thank you. And I want to follow up. Both Matt and you, Susan, talked about how great things are looking in the downtown and all the positive developments. And I just want to add what you can either refer to as icing on the cake or weaving art into the fabric of the community. But work will begin on the first mural, downtown mural, at 2 p.m. on Monday. So watch for that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, it's on the side of what is it? The Lavash?
The Zara Boutique.
Zara.
Zara Boutique. Yes.
Yeah. It right now is just a big blank wall, and I believe it's flowers that are
It's
being painted there.
beautiful. Blue and yellow. Oh, it's gorgeous. Really,
Yeah,
really pretty.
it'll be great. So that's fantastic. Any other? Oh yes, Esther. You're on mute.
So I'm
Unmute.
sorry, there's,
There you go.
okay, so there's three more areas I'm curious about, and
Sure.
that's where the cross, we talk about, housing near BART, where the crosses are, that property there, I mean, is there any talk of buying that property and putting up housing? That's one. Number two, what's happening with that empty Walgreens or whatever it was? It's a big space. It would be a lovely art gallery. Okay. Number three, there's that other building that's on the corner across from the sideboard that's empty, right on the corner there. Is there anything happening with that?
So yes, yes, and yes.
Good.
The one across the street from the BART station where the crosses are, that was bought and purchased by a Lafayette resident who also happens to be an architect, a developer, and there is a very thoughtful project going in there. Like I said, it's like the roads in there are tough and evacuation routes are tough back in there. And so it's 17 detached homes plus 3 ADUs, small. They're small units, it's kind of for people to go downsize. The crosses are going to stay. She has given them to the Hillside Memorial group there and they're going to stay. So great project. The one, okay, what was the next one?
Walgreens.
Oh, yes, we have received an SB 35 project proposal. It's very big. It's very tall. I think it's like 7 stories or something on that site. It has not been deemed complete yet. And so we'll be seeing it at some point, but SB 35 projects often are even ministerial. And so we may not have any say over it at all. It may just go in without even any review by any of us. And then the one across the street.
Susan,
Oh yeah,
Susan, on the Walgreens one, as I understand it, it is tall. You're absolutely right, but it's also going to have retail on the
Yes.
bottom. Is that correct?
Thankfully, yes. So far, the current design does have first floor retail, which is great. We always encourage that in our downtown. So the one across from, I guess the library, is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about the one, it's got a lot of glass. It's on Moraga Road across from the Safeway and
The World
the
Savings.
sideboard, that
Oh, right.
The bank. The bank.
Yeah, no, it's almost been like for sale, right? We've had a couple, but nobody has bid off on that. And it was run as an art gallery for a long time until our delightful resident decided to move to Monterey. So yes, it would be.
I have heard
great.
I have heard some good news on that. I don't know if it's good to share. I think just stay tuned. I think we're going to hear some good stuff there.
Ooh,
good.
okay, that is exciting. That would be a great site and a pillar,
Yeah.
to our community.
Great.
Supervisor Anderson, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I was going to say I spent, as you may know, I serve also as an MTC commissioner. And so we've spent the last 2 days talking about some very important topics with regard to OBAG and regard to how very much our cities are concerned. And so MTC has come up with a revised proposed format that MTC staff has, and they still got quite a bit of pushback at our meeting, particularly yesterday. We did have a lot of public comment from the real estate community, from the BIA, just concerns about the provisions in it, in the TOC, that really require housing preservation, which not all of us view as appropriate housing preservation, with requiring, rent control measures, or, choosing from a list of options. And one of the things I did point out is that most of our smaller cities aren't providing social services. They're not the safety net, the county is. And currently in the county, we are funding quite a few programs that help fill in gaps for people who need rental assistance, need assistance with mortgages, legal aid with regard to evictions. And so what I suggested is, couldn't our cities, if in fact we're going to keep this scorecard where you need to have a few things from each of these different columns, rely upon the fact that the county is already providing those and their citizens have access to those. It was met with a little, well, then the cities are going to have an agreement with the county and they're going to have to pay into it. And I sort of pushed back and said, no, the point is, we have a $7 billion budget, which is rapidly declining. I would say we're getting hit really hard with federal cutbacks, with everything, with the shutdown, which I can go into briefly. But the reality is that our cities really are in partnership already with the county. So that was one issue. They have revised significantly what the scoring may or may not look like. It is going to come back to the MTC Commission sometime in the winter months, and we talked about that. So probably we're thinking February we'll have more input, but it is something that Sue Nowak, Pleasant Hill, and who is the chair of MTC, and the rest of us continue to express concern, because really the rules that surrounded it were passed in 2022 when many of us were not yet on MTC. We, the commissioners, are the ones who get to decide the final rules, not the staff. And so and I had a very frank discussion with the head of MTC about that, just how important it is to recognize that cities feel very frustrated when it's not the elected representatives who seem to be setting the policies, but it's just those in MTC who have their own perspective, and perhaps there's definitely strong feelings for some about housing preservation and how to do it appropriately. And former Mayor Libby Schaaf also sits on MTC, and she felt very frustrated when many city MTC representatives were really, really pushing back on this. So it remains to be seen. They also are taking a different look of particularly about how we count office space, FAR. They're recognizing that things have changed since 2022, and we need to have a realistic approach about what it looks like today. So it's not by any means a done deal. They heard very loud and clear from many people, commissioners, as well as the community who did show up, just saying, we don't like the funding mechanism you have right now, and we need to have a different way to do it. So I think that's what you're going to see, a continual shift, because what they did present to us, and I'd be happy to send you links to it, because we did have PowerPoint presentations from day one of our retreat. We had the status quo, what had previously been presented. Day two is when they rolled out, here's what we're proposing, and they still got quite a bit of pushback. And it's not just our county. I mean, Sue is staying very, very neutral as sort of the moderator and trying to help things move along. But other cities, particularly, or other counties as well. David Canepa from San Mateo County just said, what if we just throw out the whole section that talks about housing preservation and just not even score on that. And again, sort of going back to, hey, these are transportation dollars, not just housing dollars. Or and so, you know, to MDC's credit, their philosophy as well. We passed Plan Bay Area. All of these are supposed to be tools to promote our livable, walkable communities. And I've got to say, Lafayette, you are doing an amazing job with how you've rezoned in your downtown core area. You are building some beautiful higher density units and still preserving your neighborhoods. And that's kind of the goal. You know, Walnut Creek has similarly done that. And our comments always, well, if, you know, Walnut Creek and Lafayette can't make the numbers, then clearly we've got a problem with our grading system. So that's going to continue. Other thing I would just mention that we are very, very concerned about what is happening with the federal shutdown, particularly with regard to food insecurity. So many people in our community do get SNAP benefits through CalFresh, it's essentially food stamps, what we used to call food stamps. November, this will be cut off, and there is not a provision from the federal government to backfill it. They've made it very difficult through their policies to even let states put money into the cards. You know, people have electronic debit cards. So it's very, very challenging there. We are seeing immediate cuts too with the shutdown, with our level of reimbursement for some of our healthcare services provided through our county hospital and our county health clinics. We're looking at a $9 million hit immediately because they aren't renewing the rates that they had previously allowed for during the pandemic, and which we had hoped would be continued moving forward. So we're going to see some serious impacts on our healthcare system. We're really having to look at what is the bare minimum we need to be providing, and some of the fluff is going to have to go away. And it's challenging because the state has come up with these policies of whole person care, of ensuring that our most vulnerable people not only get medical services, but ensure that they have housing and transportation and food and all of those things. We will continue to do what we are required to do, but in order to really support everyone, we are going to have to reformat some of our programs. I mean, rough estimates just in our healthcare system based upon who's going to qualify moving forward for Medi-Cal, which is the same thing as the federal Medicaid. You know, we're hitting potentially over the next 3 years about $350 million in hits. So we as the Board of Supervisors are taking these, you know, we're just continuing to tally. I've asked our county administrator to let's start putting it on the website, just so we can have the public have easy access to all of these areas, both in our employment, human services, and our health, which are where we're going to continue to see the biggest hits. Other infrastructure grants, we have lost several grants related to projects that involved sustainability components that were deemed inappropriate by the federal government. Even our Head Start program has had to revise everything in it to take out any discussion of someone's race and their diversity, all of these different, sort of the whole DEI thing. And even as we put people into slots in our Head Start preschools, it cannot be in any way based upon any of those factors. And it really, and again, the reality is that oftentimes when you look at income, which is still allowed, and the sad reality is that many of our disadvantaged populations do happen to be people of color, and will continue to work with that. At least they have not cut all of our Head Start funding. They have just furloughed all of the federal staff that's supposed to be assisting with it.
Wow.
So it continues to roll out. We're continuing to face some really, really challenging times, and a lot of it's going to be relying on our CBOs. You know, for example, Food Bank of Solano, Contra Costa County. I think the state is talking about releasing some of the emergency funding they might have access to provide greater pushing out food for those in need. And the last thing we want to see in our county is anyone going hungry. And I think we will continue to work with all partners to ensure that that does not happen.
Great.
Right. Oh my gosh. That was,
Well, thank you,
wow.
Candace.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
That's a great summary.
Yeah.
We're kind of coming towards the top of the hour, and I want to be respectful of everybody's schedule. Mayor Candell, any closing comments that you've got?
No, and thank you for bringing up the whole food insecurity. I was going to try to see what we can do. I guess, Suzanne, we should be getting the word out to donate to the food banks. You know, if that's, it seems like that's the right place to be heading.
And I would say our
people.
food banks work with a lot of other nonprofits
Right.
to get the food out. And if you give money rather than actual food, it
Yes.
goes so much further.
Yes.
Exactly.
So that way, that'll be the message coming out of our communications for sure. And thank you so much for doing all the hard work that you're doing. And thank you for the good news about the TOC MTC's policy. Oh, there's still hope. Okay. And all the points you're making are totally valid. So.
Okay.
This is about the
Libby,
food.
I'll let you have a very quick
It
question.
is a very quick. Sorry, Matt.
Quick.
So if we give money, do we give it to Contra Costa Food Bank or
Yeah,
what?
Suzanne just put a link in the chat if you want to
Oh,
see
okay.
where you can donate. I have a monthly donation to them. I have for
Wonderful.
years, just because it makes it easier, so I don't have to think about it.
And I'd say the other group, White Pony Express, is also
White Pony
a
too,
great
yes.
partner, and they do a lot of food recovery and then getting it out into the community. And they came right out of your back door, it just right over from the Suki Center is where they originated.
I know it.
Good.
Amazing.
Great. As we wrap up, Holly, anything you want to highlight that is going on with the chamber in the next couple of weeks?
Yes, I just want to say thank you, Matt, for emceeing, moderating today. Thank you so much, Mayor Candell, for your time and great presentation. As the BART station pathway is, half a block from the chamber office, and I live by Acalanes High School, so that aqueduct pathway is I'm pushing for that as well. So great presentation, thank you, and thank you, Candace Anderson, Supervisor, for joining us today and for that information. That was a great addition to this morning's coffee. I know we started out on a sweet note. You're talking about my Halloween decorations here in the back. We do have 2 events today and 1 tomorrow. So at 10 o'clock, we have a ribbon cutting for Club Champion. They're a new store that's going into Lafayette Square where FedEx used to be, right beside Sharp Bicycles. So please join us for ribbon cutting there. And then this afternoon at 4 o'clock, we do have Trick or Treat Street from 4 to 6. And tomorrow, our retail stores are inviting you to come by for mocktails, including Big Wolf Pets, which we were at yesterday for a ribbon cutting. They will have doggy mocktails with bone broth. So for your mocktails for yourself, mocktails for your pets. And Mayor Candell noted about that we were very excited for Sunflower Hills development here in town, and they're actually going to be our presenter at the 46th annual Community Thanksgiving Breakfast, which is going to be held on Tuesday, the 18th. So I'm going to drop that link in the chat for tickets for breakfast, but we'd love for everyone to join us for that. Santa comes to town on December 7th, and ta-da, we have just rounded out 2025. Thank you again for joining us. And any final words, Matt?
Yeah, I just want to add my thanks to Mayor Candell, Supervisor Anderson, Vice Mayor Anduri, and Councilman McCormick for joining us today. It was a great discussion. There is a lot going on, and we appreciate your support and making yourself available to people. Suzanne, thank you for all your help in the background, giving all those really helpful links. It makes it so much easier for people to follow up on things. So I want to thank everybody, and we appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you at some of our events. So everybody have a great weekend, and thanks again for attending. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.